6 o'clock, Esther.
Okay. All right, Mr. Bowman, let's start.
Let's go. All right. We'll start with the workshop agenda. Topics for discussion. Trustee Morgan discussed the water department to stand alone as one department, grounds and maintenance to stand alone as one department, sharing the same DPW garage facility.
Yes, I'm sure you've all received information from a Mr. Randall Miller, and he's not related to me, but he has a lot of concerns about the grass growing over signs, hydrants. You know, Wayne County hasn't been really good this year about getting out. And I think I believe I had spoke with the supervisor at one time or another about doing just this, is separating the two and have them stand alone and hire people, you know, so we're not taking a water crew to do maintenance and grounds. And I know with Parks and Recreation and the parks, they want cut. And I just think it's something that we really ought to take serious and see if this can be done, or see if you're willing to do such a thing and, you know, take care of this issue, because it's a safety issue. I know that I was on Arcona and I was turning onto Sumpter Road, and you literally almost put your car right into traffic trying to make a left or right out of there. And I know that that's not the only intersection. So I would like to really take a hard look at this and see what you all think.
Chair?
Go ahead, Tim.
Yeah, Peggy, I've been working with Randy Miller. He's an awesome guy. He shows up for all of our park and recreation cleanups. Just an awesome, awesome guy. He's done more work than Carter's Got Pills, basically single-handedly clearing signs in the township, along with people like me. I mean, I keep everything around my property clear. We're not going to get any help from Wayne County. Every time I call Commissioner Hiatus, it's the same story. The Forestry Service is understaffed. Well, not our problem. Our residents pay their taxes. Those services should be rendered. But just like other communities in the area, everybody's ramping up and they're taking care of it themselves. As far as separating the departments, there's no plan. There's nothing to even consider on this. The HR committee, we have many recommendations that are going to be put forth to the board for many different situations, including seasonal help to address those issues. And we'll probably get those recommendations after we approve the minutes and everything tonight from the HR committee meeting. And next board meeting, we can consider all that. It's already in the works, Peggy. Back to chair.
Okay,
Chair,
we'll move on. Go
Chair,
ahead.
Trustee Addy, I know we, when Kevin McNamara, introduced himself to the Sumpter board, not the last meeting before, he was talking about having to do the same thing in Van Buren Township, which was to start taking care of the roads. And they were looking at buying a cutter capable of maintaining the sides of the roads and things. And I know we talked about, potentially some, shared services and things like that. I think we need to, if it's feasible, explore some of those options. I mean, it's unfortunate that Wayne County is not taking care of, the roads. It's unfortunate that we don't have more residents that manage their own properties, in the township, to cut those easements and things that are on their properties. But, regardless of whether we can get more people to do it or not, it's becoming a safety issue. It's been a safety issue for years. Since I've been on this board, we've had residents that have, come to meetings and complained about certain intersections and things that needed to be cut. And we have blue in the face sending emails and calling the Wayne County lines and registering complaints and getting our complaint numbers and everything else. And I think we just have to start looking at how we handle it ourselves to get it done so that our residents are getting the, the services they expect, even though it's expected from the county, they're still expecting the service. And sometimes they don't see the difference, and we need to try to solve this problem.
Chair.
Go
if
ahead,
I
Peggy.
may.
Go ahead, Peggy.
I agree with you, Matt. And I remember Kevin actually speaking about that from Van Buren. And, I like the fact that they're going to, help us out too. But the problem is like, this should not really wait 2 more weeks to, we have fire hydrants out there. Mr. Miller was out there today and said that he literally, there was some place on Sherwood Road, I believe, where he had to literally go in to the brush to find the fire hydrant. He knew it was there somewhere, and he was up to his knees in, just overgrown, and he finally did find it. But this is something that really needs to be addressed first thing tomorrow, to get somebody out there to start cutting some of this stuff down. And I think that, he even expressed that to me on the phone tonight. It's a serious issue. It's a safety factor. And, when we have a fire, they have to get to those hydrants. And I agree with all of you. Something has to be done, but I would like to see something tonight that the board can do to swing a couple guys at least out there to get them going on this. Or maybe the fire department can, let's pay them, by the hour to go out there and help with this, if that's what it takes.
I agree. I agree with what you guys are saying. I think we ought to explore the possibility. I mean, it's a good thing that Van Buren's willing to help us out with this problem, but I think we should explore the possibility of us having our own equipment to do it. If we had our own equipment, it's just a matter of putting a body that's capable of doing the job on the equipment. If it's financially possible, I think we ought to explore buying our own tractor to pull our own weight.
And Chair, I don't disagree. If financially, you always like to be able to take care of your own, and not have to rely on, somebody else who has to get theirs cut first. So I think that we should explore it financially, but I think we should also, make sure that on our channel 12, we have a slide that has the phone number to report, overgrown intersections or fire hydrants that get overgrown. Because as we know, if anybody has a yard like mine, one side of my yard doesn't grow, the other side will grow 1.5 feet in 2 weeks. So, we have over 1,300 fire hydrants in our community. And, there's some that only have to be cut once a season. Others have to be cut 2 or 3 times because of the soil, the growth, the moisture that happens to be in that area, especially in the southern part of our township. It's very wet. So those are prime conditions for everything to grow. And, we should have I know we have a phone number for the water department or the building department. We should have it advertised so residents can see it. They can make that call. I mean, that's the best way to resolve issues. Residents that are driving down the road and they see one that's overgrown, just give a call, and then the water department can go out there and get it taken care of.
3 years ago.
Go ahead, Peggy.
Chair?
Okay, 3 years ago, I met with Ken Conca, and he actually took the liberty of having the water department go out, and they had a map, and they went through every fire hydrant in this township. And I believe, Don, you can let me know if I'm true about this, but I believe once they did them, they would tie a yellow tape of some type to know that one was done and moved on. And I don't even think it took them that long to wipe out the whole township of getting every hydrant in here. And it hasn't been done since. And I think it's something that it ought to just be automatic that this type of thing gets done. I mean, it's so important. And like I said, the safety of our residents.
Chair?
As far as Peggy, when we had a meeting with the water department, Elle and I, they had a map, since you mentioned maps, but the map did not tell you exactly where the fire hydrants was. It had a whole bunch of red dots, but they weren't able to extinguish one red dot from the other when we looked at this map. So, I mean, they may be familiar with it. From what I gathered, they're not. They couldn't point out each fire hydrant. So, I mean, if you're going to set up something where somebody goes out and does these things, I think we need to have an up-to-date map that shows you exactly where that fire hydrant is, so it can keep track of how many times it's been cut when it needs to be cut. I mean, and it might be, I don't know, I would think in this day and age, you would be able to come up with something that you could do around those fire hydrants where grass would not grow, okay? There has to be some kind of solution where you could do something around these fire hydrants where the grass wouldn't grow.
I believe that's what they did 3 years ago.
Chair, Trustee Addy, I know Trustee Laporte probably has some information on this, but you know, the water department goes out and services every single fire hydrant every year. They winterize, it has to be winterized. So they go out and they touch that fire hydrant every year. And we did put a solution on a few years ago, and we got lambasted at board meetings and in the paper because a couple of the residents, you know, were accusing us of using some kind of toxic chemical that was getting into the creeks and killing fish and stuff. It was not true. It was a product that Canton was using. It was approved by the state, but they stopped using it, you know, just because of, you know, some of the you know, negative connotations that came with it. But you know, they go out and they do touch every single fire hydrant. And I believe, and you know, maybe my memory is wrong, but I thought we approved the purchase of a software to pinpoint every single fire hydrant in the township. It was a GPS coordinate, and maybe Don Laporte could talk about, because I know the fire department, you know, we've talked about this before. They said they never have a problem finding hydrants in our community, because this is not the first time we've had, you know, residents, you know, indicate that, you know, we're not cutting the fire hydrants, or they're not locatable. Don, do you have anything on that?
Yeah, I was just trying to sneak in here somehow. We did purchase some software. It was I think of the name, maybe Chief Brown can help me out. I think it's emergency reporting. There is a mapping feature in there. I'm trying to recall if I've seen all the hydrants in that software or not. Rest assured to the residents that the firefighters know when we see one fire hydrant, we know 500 foot there's another. We typically carry a lot of water with us to the fire, especially if it's a working fire. We could skip a hydrant if we wanted. It could still make the next one. We carry enough hose on the truck. Don't disagree with anything that's said here tonight at all. I mean, they definitely need to get addressed. Some need to go at a crazy rate around these, and some are in people's front yards and they get mowed and string trimmed around. I think the epic problem that we have here is poor management from the water department side. And obviously, with not having a manager right now at all, or supervisor, there is no plan, right? I mean, so we don't know how many missed digs we do a month. We don't know how many hours we spend grass cutting. We don't know how many hydrants we check every month. We do know that the hydrants get pumped down before fall, or during the fall time of the year, so they don't freeze and break. They were getting tagged with a yellow ribbon. Every year, the water department seemed to change it up a little bit on how they wanted to mark them. Crushland, what from DPW was out as soon as last year was painting hydrants. Again, this is a monumental task with 1,300 hydrants. It's like painting the Mackinac Bridge, you know. You could start at one end, by the time you get to the other, it's time to start over. Seemingly, maybe not that extreme. That might not be the greatest representation of hydrant care, but yeah, it's definitely a problem. Definitely needs to be looked at. I think that before we started splitting departments up and dividing into grass cutting and water department, I think we need to get a management plan. Have somebody submit a plan to the board that these days we're going to address hydrants. These days we're going to be doing grass cutting. We might find out we don't have enough manpower, period. Or we might find out we have more than enough manpower and we could get more done. I don't think we have an accurate perspective on the scope of all the work and the labor hours needed to do all these things. And without that, we can talk about what we can do or should do all night long. I think that it's a shame that Mr. Miller has to go out in his personal weed whip and go weed whip around hydrants. I've been talking to this gentleman. I met him at the gas pump where I usually meet everybody, and a nice conversation with him. Very caring individual. He did have a proposal that he made. I'm assuming he's contacted everybody on this board. Emailed us a proposal, what he proposed and how to fix some of these problems. I immediately sent that email to the county and asked Mr. Haddis to review it, and obviously told him we're not feeling any love out here. And of course, the automatic response is the county's not going to do anything. Well, the county's not going to do anything if we're not squeaking. I go back to Miss Mary Band, that the squeaky wheel gets the grease. So if we ain't squeaking, we're applying our own grease to ourselves. And we could be hurting ourselves if we at least don't ask for the help. So we reach out, we ask, they provide what they can. I believe that if we have the means and the opportunity to take care of these things, we should. But we also have to make sure that we don't put ourselves in a bad light or open ourselves up for maybe lawsuits, because if you don't clear the weeds back far enough from the corner and somebody gets in a really bad traffic accident, well, now it's Sumpter Township's fault and not Wayne County. Or they go both parties because neither one of us cut the grass or trimmed the weed. Obviously, that's dramatic, right? But it's the world we live in now. Somebody's got to pay for an accident, which there shouldn't be an accident because of tall weeds to begin with. So I believe we do have to do something. Obviously, I don't have all the answers, but I believe that we need to understand what we're dealing with. We need to understand how much work it is, how much labor we have, and do we have the means to get things done. Back to chair.
Okay, Don. Yeah, that's why recently when Elle and I had a meeting with the water over at the water department, that I asked for a day-by-day schedule of what actually goes on there, so we can figure out what goes on day by day there, what's getting done, what's not getting done. Their report needs to be laid out so we can understand how much time it took them to do their day-by-day schedule, how much time they spend on cutting grass, just like you said. If we could get accurate reports from them, it would sure help us do what we have to do. It would help us understand everything a lot better over there, what's getting done and what not's getting done. So.
We really do need to understand the totality of everything that we're talking about to make a decision on which direction to go.
Right.
But I agree with not one person on this board tonight that said something needs to be done.
Mm-hmm. Yep.
Chair.
Go ahead, Tim.
Chair. Yeah. Again, the HR committee is looking at everything. I mean, need to just do a knee-jerk reaction and do an agenda item tonight. Supervisor Ullman, if I do recall, the last board meeting, Ken Cunton is gone, and now your office is in charge of
Exactly.
supervising the DPW. Give them a call tomorrow. Tell them to start weed whacking the hydrants. I mean, you know, there's a lot of things. We got, I guess my main focus on everything, no knee-jerk reactions. Let's have a plan. Let's have every T crossed and every I dotted before we just jump into the pond. Back to you, Chair.
Thank you, Tim.
Thank you. I think it's a good discussion, and I hope that something can be done right away, as it is a huge safety factor for our residents. All of
Yeah,
us.
I'm really counting on their day-by-day report to help us understand exactly what's going on over there.
Chair, I want to make sure we don't overlook putting it on our channel 12 and making sure that the residents, you know, the number they should call to report, you know, overgrowth on hydrants or intersections, just so we can get the list. I think Mr. Laporte is right. You know, we need to get the list for us to try to attack it, but we can use that list to send to the county just to keep the squeak going. But we can get our DPW to handle, you know, the things that we're able to get them to handle.
Right. Okay.
Eric,
Go ahead.
maybe we could reach out to the county and since they already have a tractor, maybe we can put a person on that tractor and utilize their equipment in the meantime. Maybe it just takes a phone call and we could work something out.
I would agree with that, Don, but I go back to, you know, if it's financially possible, I think we should have our own equipment. If that equipment is sitting there, and there's a body available, it makes it a lot easier to make that decision to do, you know, go cut this corner or go cut this corner. We just had a complaint about this corner. If we had the equipment in our possession, that would take a lot of guesswork out of it.
I don't disagree with you one bit, but if they happen to have 2 or 3 tractors sitting around,
Which they do.
why not see if we can utilize one? And
Maybe they can grant it to us
Yeah.
permanently. Since they're
Yeah.
not using it, maybe we can be one of the communities that benefits from giving a tractor away.
Yeah,
They
'cause-
have auctions all the time. Wayne
Yeah, because
County.
even the signs, you know, that are here, the signs are just as important and just as bad.
Okay.
I agree. They are. Half of them, you can't even see the stop sign. Yep. Okay, so moving on. B, Trustee Morgan, discuss consideration to opt in MMFLA, Medical Marijuana Facilities Licensing Act and Marijuana Industry.
Okay, I'm only gonna speak very briefly on this, and then the rest of us can determine. First of all, I do want to let you, the board, know that when I sent it in, there was a lack of communication between me and the deputy clerk, and it wasn't neither one of our faults. I was out of power yesterday, and I had another family emergency to take care of, and I missed his email to correct what I was asking him. And actually, I was putting this as an agenda item, and he thought that I was doing for topics only, but we can go ahead and discuss this. I just want to say this about the topic. Back in 2017, we had a marijuana committee. Trustee Matt Oddie, chairman, co-chair, I believe was former trustee Sheena Barnes, did a 23 license presentation. Being that was 4 years ago and now, so I took it about 3 months ago. I decided to do my own research on this topic and found that Amazon is investing into the marijuana industry. I just think it would be nice if we could bring something like Amazon right here to our own township and creating jobs for our residents and surrounding residents or surrounding communities. The marijuana industry is evolving at a rapid pace. There's large corporations investing now. And so I would like to see us opt in. We have the land. And I just think it would be a good time to do so. Back to you, Chair.
Go ahead, Tim.
Chair?
Go ahead, Tim.
Yeah, yeah. We're on, we opted out as the township. Right now, we're on step one of probably 1,000 before we even consider opting in. There's ordinances that have to be looked at. There's a lot of stuff. And, the impact on our police and fire department. We're going to have an increase in growth and population. There's a lot of things to consider. And, I couldn't even consider voting for something like that as a last minute agenda item tonight. That's unacceptable to me. It's, there's too many things that have to happen beforehand. Like I said, we're on step one of 1,000. Back to Chair.
I agree with that, Tim. There's a whole lot of things that have to be done before we'd even consider doing that. Whole lot of things.
Well, I know that other communities, the first step is normally opting in. The second step would be to make sure that all the plans start becoming in place, in line to do so. I know that that's how Belleville handled it. And it's actually, I believe, putting Belleville on the map, because when I was doing my research, I seen when I was looking at the Amazon sites and stuff, Belleville was there. So, I mean, they started all the crossing T's and dotting I's after it was passed by the residents of Belleville. So it's been kind of not talked about. So I thought that it would be nice to discuss it and see where everybody's head is on this and possibly pass it tonight. Back to you, Chair.
Chair.
Yeah.
Chair.
Go ahead, Tim. Go ahead, Tim.
Yeah, again, Peggy, you're putting the cart before the horse. You got to have the ordinance and everything in place before you even opt in. I don't care what Belleville does. I don't care what other townships do. I care about Sumpter Township and what our residents want. They're expecting us to do the right thing. And first, we have to get our ducks in a row with ordinance, department, and then we move to that next level. Back to Chair.
I agree with that, Tim. Go ahead, Matt.
Chair, and I agree with you and Tim. I've been, monitoring this, and in fact, maybe I'll ask Rob to chime in on it. I was against it in 2017. I'm not against marijuana. I have friends and relatives that use it for their care. I was against commercializing our residential and even down our Sumpter Road areas. I just didn't want to see us with a commercial district like you see going down 8 Mile. I drive 8 Mile every day, and it's nudie bar, dispensary, nudie bar, dispensary, all the way down 8 Mile. And I just didn't want to see something like that for our community down at Sumpter Road or, down Willis Road. I have kept my pulse on it. I haven't seen any benefit yet to a community. I've seen all negatives. If you look, just Google lawsuits in Michigan, you're going to find, Westland, Detroit, Berkeley, Mount Pleasant, Warren, Alpena, Lapeer, all of them have been sued by the marijuana industry. And, these communities that have opted in have had nothing but problems in the licensing processes. Everybody thinks it's unfair on how the licenses were issued, and they get a lawsuit. And you know, I don't know how we would navigate that better than some of these larger cities like Warren and Lapeer and even Westland. They're going through lawsuits right now. From what I've seen, the MMFLA, there is zero money coming to the community to offset the negatives that are part of this. So I think there needs to be, you know, some more research done, you know, to take a look at this, and we need to understand what we would be biting off, you know, to have that come into the community. But you know, I personally, I don't want to see, you know, dispensaries polluting Sumpter Road and Willis Road with, you know, with those businesses. We can't even get a CVS, you know, or a Walgreens, you know, or even a major grocery chain, even a half major grocery chain coming into our community. I would hate to see us, you know, open up to have, you know, 10, 15, 20 marijuana facilities, you know, down Sumpter Road. And I don't want to get on the map. And Peggy, we've had lots of conversations and lots of disagreements. I mean, those marijuana committees were ugly. I mean, we had board members accusing committee members of writing false reports and lying in their reports. I mean, those meetings and committees were no fun with the attacks that were coming on there. I don't want Sumpter Township, which is a residential, a bedroom community, to be on the map. If Belleville wants to be on the map for marijuana, that's Belleville. I don't want to see Sumpter on the map for marijuana facilities, which would be servicing 90% people from outside the community. You know, that's what would happen. A marijuana facility in Sumpter would service 90% of the people from outside the community. And if Belleville wants to be known for that, that's Belleville. But I personally don't want to see Sumpter known as the marijuana capital of Southwest Wayne County.
Well, all I can say is with the research that I've been doing, it's something that, you know, before the number was like 68 or so percent. You have 48 states that are now dealing with some type, whether it be the oil or whatever. And I believe that that's what Amazon's looking at, is to sell and deliver, which what most residents now use of some kind. It was like 70-something% of the United States is using some type in some form. And I just think it would be a shame to, you know, not get on board with this before other communities around us jump at the idea, and then we sit back and not do it. So back to Chair.
Okay.
And Chair, I'd just like to follow up on that if I could. Chair, could I?
Go ahead, Matt.
And Peggy, you're right. Amazon's getting into it, and opting out doesn't prohibit anybody from getting those products from Amazon. Opting out doesn't prohibit anybody from growing their own. The state law allows you to grow your own. It doesn't prohibit somebody from driving 3 miles into Belleville and picking up a CBD oil or having Amazon deliver it. Anything that, you know, that I'm considering is, I don't want to see us commercialize our township and our residential areas, having commercial buildings put up right next to where people live and dotting Sumpter Township. You know, we always tout, you know, country living at its finest. We're a bedroom community, and I don't want to see us commercializing and put ourselves on the map for, you know, marijuana production. It just doesn't seem like it fits with what the residents want. The residents did vote 67% to legalize marijuana, but that doesn't mean they voted 67% to have a commercial facility next door to them. They have access to it. They'll have access to it. If Amazon gets going and they deliver it, they won't even have to leave their house. They can have it delivered. But I think that's the kind of the difference in the communication is, absolutely, it's legal. People have access to it. They can grow their own. They can buy it. They can have it delivered to them. It's not commercializing our township with these facilities all over the place is where I don't want to see us go.
So Matt, when you talk about the neighborhoods, would you be opposed to something in our industrial side of town?
No, in fact, we already had previously set aside for caregivers to be in the industrial area. The next piece of that question is, you go back to that list I gave you, which was a short list I pulled right before the meeting. Every single community has had problems with the licensing because you're picking winners and losers. If you only have 5 grow facilities, how do you pick which 5 people? Because there's 5,000 applicants. And as soon as you pick 5 grow facilities, you're going to have 4,995 people suing you because you didn't pick them. And I don't know if there's a benefit, there's a cost of defending lawsuits. And I haven't seen a community yet that has had some type of lawsuit dealing with the application process and the in getting up and running.
Am I mistaken? Or I thought that Michigan actually handles that now. And what we do is once they have accepted the application, then it's up to the township whether we go ahead and allow whoever it is that applied for it to get it.
My understanding is, maybe we should ask Rob, he's a little more schooled than us. Peggy, my understanding is the state licenses you to get the state license, but the township has to opt in for how many licenses we're going to allow. So we have to pick what 5 out of the 5,000 want to come into Sumpter.
Rob, could you chime in, please?
Mr. Chairman, did you want me to respond?
Go ahead, Rob.
So the process is the state of Michigan deals with the licensing aspect, and there's a number of prerequisites that have to take place. The townships and the cities have a lot to say. In fact, they have pretty much all the say in how many licenses are granted and the location, the zoning, the conditions, and the like. So Matt is right, from the standpoint that all you got to do is look at the cases. Westland's been sued. I don't know if you guys have looked at it, but 3 days ago, Judge Bernie Friedman, federal judge, presiding judge used to be, I don't know if he still is, issued a temporary restraining order and determined that he thought the case had extreme merit, and he restrained Detroit from issuing any licenses because of the preferential treatment given to the citizens of Detroit. That he found that to be a violation of the Constitution, that all parties, all members, all people have an opportunity to seek approval locally before it's taken to the state that we're talking about. So it's very prevalent to sue communities today because they challenge the process that's used. So there should, if you even started to get into this, which I don't want to get into this because I could go on for 2 hours. I spent a lot of time on this years ago. But just to try to stay with what we're talking about, if you get into this, you have to be very vigilant, very careful, and not allow any preference. I mean, we heard in the last go around, give it to us. We're the citizens of Sumpter. We deserve it. Don't step outside the township and all of that. If we would have followed that course of action, as if we would have followed a number of courses of action that we were asked to follow, we would have found ourselves in a situation that I'll say some of us didn't anticipate and some of us did anticipate, but clearly that is something that you're going to end up getting sued over and everything's going to become a big disaster. Let me take you back to the biggest issue that we had. We were going to make all of this money if we opted in. That there was just buckets and baskets and bags full of money that was going to come into the township, and that it was going to be just a cure-all for all of the financial ills of the township. And that was under the MMFLA. And we had arguments, we had debates, we had discussions. And I pointed out that there's a provision under the MMFLA that said, at the time, still there, if the state engages in any allowance of recreational marijuana, they didn't use recreational, they just said other approvals, the taxes that are assessed on the MMFLA facilities go from 6% to 0. 6% to 0. when the recreational marijuana act was passed and cities and others started to get into it, the citizens, and I should say the cities and the townships that got into marijuana under MMFLA tried to moonwalk out of it. Because what they had done is they had taken on an administrative, an investigatory, a licensing aspect, and they were limited to charging their facilities up to, they couldn't charge them just $5,000. It was up to $5,000 a year to be reimbursed for the costs. And these communities had much more than that. There was fire department, police, I don't go down that road. If you look at the latest publication for the monies given to the communities that have participated in the recreational marijuana, does anybody know what the average is that goes to each city in township?
Rob, I believe it was 23,000.
23,000 for the year. So if that is a financial windfall, I don't understand that. Now, that's not my numbers. Those are numbers, if you do the research, that you will find. I don't make it up, and you don't have to believe me, but go check it out and bring it to me and show me where I'm wrong, and let's talk about it. But that is what I understand the communities to be receiving that participate in this licensing of marijuana. Now, the other thing is if you look at the townships and the cities that have opted in Wayne County, it's a substantial minority. It's 3 or 4 communities out of, I forget how many there are in the county. Why is that? Are we smarter, or are there 3 or 4 communities that are smarter than the other 40? Or is there those that have dug into this and looked into this and studied this and took it serious and saw the pros and the cons and came to some conclusion that maybe this is not what we all want to do? So this township took it slow. I agree with Matt in this respect. I'm not opposed to marijuana. I think that there's probably some situations where it has done some good. I have some friends that use it because of whatever ailments they have. No reason to get into that. And they consider it a benefit, and I leave that to them. That's not the issue. The issue is what do you do as a community? And the proposal we had last time was 23 licenses to be given out for the township. I don't think there's 25 of anything in this township. There isn't 25 stores, there isn't even 25 churches in this township. So to suggest that that this wouldn't have dominated the community is, I think, at least the way I look at it, a little unfair representation. And if you couple that with no benefit, I'm talking about financial benefit, you have to take that into consideration. I'm not saying that what you do as a community has to financially benefit the community or the township hall for revenues to do that what you want to do. But at the same time, you got to take a look at it. There has to be an analysis. I thought the committee did a very good job a few years ago trying to determine the facts. It was a fact-finding committee, if you remember. And we focused on that, and that report is still out there. Anytime you guys want to take a look at it and review it, I'm not talking about that report. We can take a look again and see if anything's changed. But those are the considerations that you have to take into consideration when you decide whether or not you want to walk down that road. So it's just kind of.
Well, I just knew that we had 3 new board members, and I know that our residents would love to see it happen. I don't know, maybe someone will end up putting it on the, to vote for it during an election period or something. But I know that there's a lot of people out here, and I'm sure you all know people that would love to see nothing more than to opt in. So back to chair.
Okay. So everything you talked about there, Rob, that goes with as far as manufacturing marijuana. It's the same criteria, same.
Yeah, you've got the 5 licenses. The grows and the dispensaries are the primary licenses that we talk about. And those are the licenses basically that receive tax sharing profits, if you will. And I can get the documents for everybody if you have an interest. I can get you the last report. I mean, look, I get stuff every day. I know Matt will send me something. I got one yesterday. I don't know if this is true or not. but it's from the Detroit Free Press. It says federal study shows link between pot use and suicide. I didn't do the study. And it says it's a federal government study. So, I mean, and look, you can find studies that are everywhere. I know that. And it all depends on how you put it together. And I'm not suggesting that you make a decision one way or another based upon some newspaper report. We know what that has gotten us in this township. So, but at the same time, it's a complicated question. It's a complicated issue. And if you want to get into it, then we have to spend the time and the effort to determine the facts. And that's at least where I've always been on this. So to answer your question, Mr. Chairman, yeah, it pertains primarily to the dispensaries, which is the grows, which you call the manufacturers, and the dispensaries, which is how it rolls out to the community.
Does it get any simpler, Rob, without dispensaries, just the manufacturing end of it?
There's plenty of those that have made the argument that, and I've seen communities that have opted in only with the grow because they didn't want the commercial operation and the potential fallout that could come from that. I'll let you fill in the blank. I don't know what all that is, but I've just heard those arguments. And then I've seen communities that have done it the other way, where they've just allowed a few dispensaries because they don't want the smell that goes along with the grows. That's always a concern. Those are the things that we, as a community, Sumpter Township, had to deal with over the last, 5 years period of time, has been with the nuisance complaints of the smells that emanate at certain times during harvesting and the like of the facilities. Now, granted, under MMFLA, you can require stricter compliance to try and control that. And you could also tie revocation of licenses to a continuous abuse, misuse, or violation of those conditions. But nevertheless, it's a concern, and it has to be taken seriously. I didn't believe it at first. I thought it was just citizens complaining until I got some calls and actually went out to the location, and I can tell you, it was pretty debilitating for a period of time to be living next door to one of these grows during an harvest time when the smell is at the peak. So that's the other side of the consequence. You have to take into consideration that. So, I mean, there's a reason why communities are getting into it, and some of them believe that it's a service, a medical service. I think that that's probably what Ypsilanti and Ann Arbor and some of those areas, at least from the people that I've spoken to, they believe that there's a medical benefit, and they find it important to address that and help assist their citizens. And it's kind of what they're about, to create that kind of community, which is fine. It's a decision that they've made. The monies that Ann Arbor received last year, I think, were somewhere in the neighborhood of $70-some thousand. The 23 was an average, I think. And so they certainly aren't doing it for the money. They're doing it because they think it's a benefit for those that in their community have a desire. And it's community oriented. It's not to try to attract people from upstate. You don't need to do that anymore. There's other facilities bouncing around out there.
Chair, if I can just say one more thing and I'll drop the subject. First of all, my main thing was getting jobs within our community. Also, I want to correct that Belleville did not opt in on their own. It went on their ballot and it was passed, and that's why they ended up in the marijuana industry now. So let me correct that. I don't want to misspeak and say that they did it as a council on their own. It went to the public voted. So I make that correction.
Chair, Trustee Addy, as we move on here, I would like to recommend that, we have a lot of things on our plate right now. And I would recommend, to the board that we try to handle the things that are really critical, like our staffing issues, our safety issues for the grass, and try to handle those things that are critical right now before we would consider, reviewing this again. I remember when we reviewed it in 2017, it encompassed every ounce of every person, in the township. We had the fire chief, we had the police chief, we had board members, we had our attorney. I mean, it was all hands on deck for several months just to try to gather information and deal with this. And I think we have some other, very important issues we should concentrate on first.
Yeah, Chair, if I might.
I agree, Matt.
Go ahead, Donnie.
I agree with Matt. I mean, there's a time and place for this talk. We have so many irons in the fire right now, the things that need to get addressed that are important to the community. Those should be taken care of first. Get the community running like a well-oiled machine, so to speak. And then maybe we could revisit this. I would encourage any resident that's watching this, if you see me at the gas station or out in public, just stop and give me your thoughts on it. As long as I've sat on this board, I've not had one person come up to me and say, well, you're really missing an opportunity here with marijuana. Everyone's under the impression, when I say everyone, I mean your layman residents, that there's tons of money in this for the community, tons of money. And when you explain to them the actual numbers, and put the report out, and sadly, I've just had that report out within the last 3 weeks, showing residents the money's there for the growers, the money's there for the state. It's not there for the community. And until it becomes beneficial and pertinent to the community, I'm always going to be a hard no. Back to you, Chair.
Thank you, Donnie. Okay, so we'll move on. New business. Consider approval of the recommendation by the Sumpter Township Planning Commission for the proposed amendment, Section 2.2, definitions of the Township Zoning Ordinance, Section 5.8, home businesses, and Article 9 signs.
Here, Trustee Addy. This comes as a recommendation from the Planning Commission, and I had asked Chris Atkins, which he did, send a kind of a summary to all of the board, because this was a pretty big undertaking of the sign ordinance, so that he could kind of give a summary of what we accomplished and what we were doing. And just to revisit that, the original intent of starting the review was to ensure that we had neutral language in our ordinance that came from some legal determinations regarding having neutral language, meaning it's a yard sign is a yard sign, whether it's a garage sale or a political sign, whatever type of sign. They didn't want to have separate designations of signs. It's a neutral, it's a yard sign. And so that's what started the content. We moved on, and one of the things we have in our community that we've talked about for years is our home businesses that have signs out at the road. And those have been in violation of our ordinance. Our ordinance had previously required it to be on the building and not down at the road. And so one of the things that the Planning Commission did was get that adjusted where you could have a smaller sign down at the road. And there's rules and regulations you have to apply for. You can't just place the shingle down there, but it does allow to have a sign at the end of the road for your home business. Again, it has to be on your property. I think it's 15 feet within the easement. You can't put the sign in the county easement and things, but this, I think, solves some problems that we've seen in the community with these signs that have been in violation of the ordinance. And this helps allow a home business to put a sign at the end of the road so that they can advertise their business without being intrusive in the residential areas and the areas around them, because obviously most ordinances are geared to the safety of the residents and your neighbors, not really protecting you, it's protecting your neighbor from you. And so that you're not intrusive. So that's what this recommendation from the Planning Commission is coming to us for, is to, again, initially to get neutral content in the ordinance so that we don't have separate designation, which puts us in compliance with some judgments that have come down. And it also addresses our home business issue that was kind of a thorn in our side for a while on having so many home businesses out of compliance with the ordinance.
Sure. I may.
Thank you, Matt. Go ahead, Don.
Sir, I'd like to abstain when it comes to the vote on this because we have 2 home businesses here, and I don't want to, as if I'm stacking the deck towards myself, my wife.
Okay. All righty. So moving on. Consider discussion and approval of appointment considerations to the vacant Sumpter Township treasurer role and critical treasurer's statutory functions.
I put that on the agenda before we had the special meeting, so this needs to be removed.
Okay. Removed. Okay, C, consider approval to accept the resignation with regrets of police officer Joseph Hogan, effective 6/25/2021.
Chair,
Go ahead, Tim.
Chair.
Go ahead, Tim.
Yeah, if I could say something about Officer Hogan, I've had a chance to interact with him in public times over the past couple weeks, and boy, is he going to be missed. This is just such a loss for the township. I can appreciate him wanting to move on to a different career. Our first responders, particularly police, have been walking around with a pretty much a target on their backs anymore with, in some of the major cities, not out here in Sumpter, obviously, but I just wanted to say that just such a loss to this township. And he's going to be deeply missed by a lot of residents and at least me personally on the board. Back to chair.
Thank you, Tim.
Mr. Supervisor, I'd like to also say we're going to miss him. I mean, it's ironic, I guess, is the word you used, that about a month and a half ago, he was voted by his peers as Officer of the Year for us for 2020. One of our best officers, but for a variety of reasons, one being the climate that we have in this country right now, he's decided that getting out of law enforcement completely and going to something different is what's best for he and his family. I can't argue with that. If he was going to a different department, I might have different feelings, but that's not what's occurring. And we're definitely going to miss him. He was definitely an extraordinary police officer.
Thank you, Chief.
Hear, hear.
Okay, so D, consider approval to hire Curtis Lunsford as a paid on-call firefighter contingent on him passing a physical and drug test. Okay. Consider approval to hire Ronald Jeffries as paid on-call firefighter contingent on him passing a physical and a drug test.
Can we allow Chief Brown to determine if he'd like to of these gentlemen?
I think he's muted.
Good evening.
Oh, there he is.
Good evening.
Where we're at in just that process is we just had a face-to-face interview with the gentleman in question and talked to them, and they seem like they fit our criteria. One is very well experienced and qualified and certified through Van Buren Township. He is also a Van Buren Township fireman. The other one has no experience, but seems to be a very nice gentleman and seems to have the time that we require. So this is the first step in the process, and we feel that it's good to go forward with.
Okay, thank you, Chief.
Thank you,
Thank
Chief.
you, Chief.
Okay, consider approval resolution 2021-10 and tentatively award a construction contract to Hennessy Engineers for drinking water system improvements and DWRF water main replacement program.
Mr. Chairman,
Go ahead.
yeah, I just want to point out that we're not really awarding a contract tonight. It's really to approve resolution 2021-10. It talks about how the township authorized Hennessy Engineering to prepare and submit a plan to the state. And it talks about a construction contract, but I just don't want to get confused on this. It is that
Thank you
we
for
are
clearing that up.
submitting this information under resolution form, the plan that was drafted by Hennessy. It goes to the state, it gets reviewed. We may have the opportunity of grant money, maybe some loan, whatever the benefit happens to be. If it's granted, then it comes back to the township for review. There's always conditions, as you know. If the township is willing to accept those conditions and move forward, then we would be the benefactor of that grant or that loan or whatever it happens to be. And at that point, the plans would be approved, and then we would be submitting a contract. So when I saw this on the agenda today, I thought I had missed something, went back and didn't see the contract, and I actually called John Hennessy. And so what we're approving is just the ability to go forward. So I just wanted to clarify that.
Thank you, Rob, very much.
Chair, Trustee Addy. So Rob, when that item is, the agenda is approved, would it be appropriate to say, consider approval of resolution 2021-10, the DWRF water main replacement program?
That would be great.
Okay. And then, Chair, I'd like to see, was Hennessy able to add some of the other projects that we discussed during the public hearing? You know, at that time I mentioned, you know, there was about $450,000 that was left in our ability to ask for up to $2 million in grant funds. I think 30% grant funds, up to $2 million project. And we have, you know, so many issues in the township, you know, one of them being non-compliant lines and other things. And I know Hennessy was going to take a look at seeing if they could amend the, you know, their project that they had put together for submission. And I didn't hear back yet if that was possible or not, because it'd be great if, you know, we could get some of these non-compliant issues resolved with some grant funds.
Mr. Chairman, the information that I have deals with the initial proposal, Matt, for the water line that we originally started this. I know that is a consideration, but my understanding is they were going to look at that, but there was also another fund and an opportunity that was going to be reviewed, considered, and maybe pursued that would take care of those matters that you were talking about.
Yep. Okay.
There's a need to do that. There's no question about that. It's just trying to get into the format to get the approval necessary to move forward. So I'll find out where that's at and I'll let you know.
Okay. Thank you.
Thank you, Rob. Okay, moving on. G, consider approval to hire Patrick Dervish. That's a hard one. Dervishi. Okay, gotcha. As a full-time police officer on the condition he passes a physical, drug screening, and psychological evaluation and approved to start at the 6-month pay scale.
Supervisor, while I'm very unhappy to see Officer Hogan leave, I'm equally as happy to bring Patrick Dervishi in front of you tonight to be voted on. Everybody is part of the process in my building for hiring, for interviewing people, is very impressed with the young man. And I think I'm to the point now where I can say young man. I think it's the first time I've ever said that. We're all very impressed with him. And I think that he's going to be a great addition to our department. And I see good things from him in the future.
Thank you, Chief.
Thank you, sir. If you guys don't mind, I just want to say thank you to the board. And I just want to say thank you to Chief Luke for the opportunity and consideration. It's truly an honor and privilege. And I look forward to joining the team at Sumpter Township Police Department and serving the community in a professional and timely manner. So thank you for that.
Thank you.
You're welcome.
Welcome aboard.
Thank you, Patrick, for
Welcome, Patrick.
speaking.
Chief,
Thank you, everyone.
does that make you feel old now saying young man?
It's the first time I think I've ever said it, and it came out kind of weird, but that is what it is.
Yeah, start feeling a little older.
Thank you,
Thank you.
Patrick.
Thank you, everyone.
Thank
Nice
you.
meeting you.
Okay, H, consider approval of HR committee recommendation and preparation of an employment contract to appoint a full-time fire department chief at the base salary of $58,240 plus township benefits without medical reimbursement.
Who is it that we're naming? And I don't know anything about this.
Chair, Trustee Addy. Maybe we could have Michelle also chime in. This recommendation is coming from the HR committee that was formed a few meetings ago to discuss some of the openings at the township, not only the fire chief, but the water department, administrative help, and some of the openings that we have. And this recommendation came out of the HR committee to the board that we are recommending that we hire a full-time fire chief, with that wage and that salary, and that would be, for the board to approve, and then there would be a recommendation, I'm assuming, from our public safety director as to who he recommends that we hire, which would come back to the board for approval, unless we add it, that name tonight. If Director Luke has that ready, we could do that tonight and make that recommendation, and the board would then be approving the hiring of full-time chief and the chief that is recommended.
I'm kind of like in the dark about this. I had no idea that this was gonna take place or happen here tonight. I don't know that I could even vote on this because I just don't know enough to even know why and how. And
Well, Peggy, I think that's why we put it on the agenda, so that, there would be time to, have those discussions and, get up to speed. But this was, from the HR committee, which the board approved setting up, and the board looked at, should we continue with a part-time chief or look at a full-time chief? And the recommendation from the committee was to move with a full-time chief. And so then it would be up to the board to approve the moving to a full-time chief, and then it would be, at that time to determine, who that person would be recommended.
I think we should take some time and look into this. I mean, there seems to be a lack of communication. This is the first I've heard of it. I'm a board member. Hello. It seems like I'm unaware of a lot of things that are happening. And, I just think that this is just kind of taking me for a loop, actually.
Chair, if I could continue, Peggy, I don't know, what you mean by this is the first time you heard about it. I mean, that's why the agenda, items were put through, and why the committee was formed was to make these recommendations. Maybe we should hear from Chief Luke on, who he is recommending, for the position, and so that we can, we can move forward.
Is that what you want me to go? Do you want me to start from the beginning, or just who I would recommend?
I would go with who you'd recommend.
From the beginning, actually, because I don't understand any of it.
Well, the letter I sent to the HR committee, and in turn the township board in full, gave my reasons for my recommendation to move from a part-time to a full-time. Did you get that letter? I believe the board got that.
Yep.
Okay. And for those reasons, moving to the full-time, my wholehearted recommendation is for interim chief Rick Brown to be named the full-time fire chief for Sumpter Township.
Can I hear from Mr. Brown on, Chief Brown on his feelings? And like I said, I don't know anything about this, so Chief, if you could speak. Chief Brown.
Yes, Peggy. Yeah, I have had several different discussions with my wants and wishes and stuff, and fulfill the empty position that Chief Janusik had left, and that if in fact I was interested in it, and that I had told the director that I would be in moving forward, and to continue the great service that we have provided and we will continue to provide. And I would basically just ask if I wish to fill the position. Some of the details has gone over, and I was happy with the invitation and the recommendation from the director and some of the board members, short conversations with. And I just got to the point to where I was happy to fill the void that Chief Janusik left, and to move forward with this department to better serve the community and to do everything I could with the board. So yes, I have had previous conversations.
And you're ready to do this full time?
Absolutely. I had the discussion with the full-time job that I did have. I had talked to my previous employer, which was quite a burden on me anymore, physically and mentally. It's a young man's job, and that I had discussions with them that I would retire from them and move on to this full-time to serve the community.
Okay, and what rate of pay are we looking at for the full-time?
It's in the
On
agenda.
the agenda item, it states it. Peggy, did you read the agenda item?
I just got an updated and I didn't.
Item H.
It's $58,240 plus township benefits.
Thank you. Matt.
Yeah.
Thank you, Matt.
Yeah, you're welcome.
If I could say something, Mr. Supervisor. I know it was in my written right up to you, and I'm much more eloquent when I'm able to put my thoughts together in writing than I am talking publicly. But Chief Brown has done nothing but impress me over the past almost 2 months now. He stepped right into the position, even while he was working his full-time job. And I know it would take a toll on me. I know it's taken a toll on him. But 36 years, I think he might say 37. The records show 36 of nothing but giving back to the community in terms of service through the fire department. I've talked to him at length. I've seen his day-to-day leadership, and I wholeheartedly believe he's the right person for the job. And I'm hoping that the township board approves him tonight as a full-time position. I think there's many good things to come with his leadership in the fire department.
Yeah, I've known Chief Brown for a long time, and I understand he is good. He's very good. I don't doubt that for 1 minute. I'm just really shocked and surprised about the full time. At times I thought it should be done a long time ago, and I'm kind of just at awe that it's on the agenda tonight to do so. But thank you.
Sure. Trustee Addy.
Matt.
I'd like to say I agree with Chief Luke's recommendation. The board had utilized Chief Brown for 8 or 9 months previously as acting chief. When the previous chief was taking staff in command, we had named him as the acting chief. So this is nothing new. He has been operating as active chief at different times in the past, and I think this makes the most sense, being that he is willing to move to a full-time position. And this is something that the board has had different conversations with over the years, whether we should have a full-time or not have a full-time chief. And I fully support Chief Luke's recommendation and the HR committee's recommendation on this.
Okay, thank you, Matt.
Hey, Chair?
Go ahead, Tim.
Yeah, before we move into the regular board meeting, could we take just a couple minute break, restroom break, this workshop? Hour and 15, 20 minutes, longer than our board meeting's gonna be. If we could take just a couple minute break, please.
Yeah. Hey, yep. And Tim, you might want to, as you walk around, maybe turn that other computer off because you
It's
were
off.
oh yeah, you were freezing up a little bit a couple times.
Yeah, it's off, Matt. My connection is my connection. I can't wait to go back live next meeting.
Yes.
So is that good, Chair? Can we take just a couple quick minutes?
Chair,
120 seconds, Tim.
anybody,
Can we take 5?
oh my God, hello,
Hello, are you there, Don?
I've been sitting over here yelling, how do you get recognized around here?
I think you got to lean forward a little bit because your
I see
audio
your-
isn't coming
I
through.
see your lips moving.
Yeah, your audio's not coming through, Don.
This, like, hey,
Yeah,
There you go. Just don't knock the bridge over.
yeah,
we're listening.
have a brief discussion about Chief Brown. I think it's a great time to go full-time with our fire chief. I think that Chief Brown is definitely our guy. I think that he is a good listener. I think he works well with all the men in the department. He values people's opinions. He gives good dialogue back and forth and lets you know where you stand. I think he's a great choice. I think he's gonna be an awesome asset to the community. I really do. The hardest thing I think that Chief Brown will have to do is take a step back because he's such a go-getter when it comes to fighting fire. Taking a step back and not jumping right in the middle of it like he usually does. Good at that. I'm very, very happy to hear that Chief Luke had a great interview with him. I had a nice discussion with him. Everything's been very, very positive. As he knows, I don't hold back anything. I think he's going to be the great guy for the job. I think he's going to lead the community forward. I think he's going to institute some plans. We've already talked about added value, having him on board. You know, if the board so choose to vote that way. And I think it's just he's a great fit for us all the way around. That's all I got. You take your break now.
Thank you, Donnie.
Okay, are we taking 5?
Yep.
Thank you.
How you doing this evening, Esther?
Not too bad. How about you?
Oh, not too bad. Not too bad. Long day again today.
Yeah. Now, under board response, I'm going to talk about the COVID plan. We got to remove the restrictions and suspend our plan.
Yep, I agree. Yep,
Yeah.
everything at midnight is off the table now.
Yep.
Yeah, and when you do that, you might as well, oh, which one was it? Remove item B too. You might as well do that at the
Yeah, I'm
same
gonna
time.
do that also.
Esther, I can make the motion. I have the language on F, the change to F.
Change to F.
Yeah, we have to change the language on F.
Yes, that also.
F,
Oh, okay, all right.
Matt, you're always Johnny on the spot.
Work as a
Yeah,
team.
when he retires, I want to hire him.
Hey, Don, while we've got a quick second, did you get your scanner up and running?
Oh,
Give me a call. This week I'm a little bit lighter. I can stop by and take a look at it for you.
seeing the box for the first time. My microphone must have.
You're talking, but nothing's coming out of your mouth, Don.
Crazy.
I think you gotta get closer, like I
Don't
said.
know why.
Man, you guys are vicious.
Yeah.
Yeah, I think you gotta be a little closer to the microphone, Don.
You hear me better?
Can you hear me now? Yeah.
Well, I think we're all here. We could continue, Chair.
Okay, we'll start out with the Pledge of Allegiance.
I pledge allegiance
To
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 the
the
flag
flag
The
of
United
the
States
United States of America
and to the
and
republic
to the republic
which it
for
stands,
which it stands,
one nation,
one nation, under God,
under God,
indivisible,
indivisible, with
liberty and justice for all.
justice for all.
Thank
Okay,
God.
roll call. Trustee Morgan,
Here, Sumpter Township, Wayne County, Michigan, sorry.
Trustee Rush,
here, Sumpter Township, Wayne County.
Trustee Addy,
here, Sumpter Township, Wayne County.
Trustee Laporte,
Here, Sumpter Township, Wayne County.
Treasurer Warren,
Here, Sumpter Township, Wayne County, Michigan.
Clerk Hurst here, Sumter Township, Wayne County, Supervisor Bowman.
Here, Sumpter Township, Wayne County. Okay, approve agenda.
Chair, Trustee Addy, make a motion to approve the agenda, removing item B and editing the language of item F to read, consider approval of resolution 2021-10 for the DWRF water main replacement program.
Support?
Been moved and supported. Roll call vote. Trustee Laporte,
Yes.
Trustee Addy,
Yes.
Trustee Rush,
Yes.
Trustee Morgan,
Yes.
Treasurer Warren,
Yes.
Clerk Hurst, yes. Supervisor Bowman.
Yes.
Motion carried.
Okay, public comment on agenda items only. Okay, minutes.
I make a motion to approve items A through E I think everybody's had enough time to
A through
approve
F.
them. I don't think we need,
A through,
or A through F, I'm sorry.
Okay,
The minutes, we're doing minutes.
yes.
So move.
Been moved and supported. Roll call vote. Trustee Addie,
Yes.
trustee Rush,
Yes,
trustee Morgan,
Yes.
trustee Laporte,
Yes.
treasurer Warren,
Yes.
clerk Hurst, yes, supervisor Bowman.
yes.
Motion carried.
Okay, hey, approve the special board meeting minutes of June 16th, 2021.
We just did.
No, we
Oh,
did the
oh,
whole
yeah.
thing.
Okay.
Yeah.
Okay, so
warrants.
moving on to warrants. Approve warrants and special check run totaling $126,634.93.
So move with roll call vote.
Support.
Been moved and supported. Trustee Morgan,
Yes.
trustee Addie,
Yes.
trustee Rush,
Yes,
trustee Laporte,
Yes.
treasurer Warren,
Yes.
clerk Hurst, yes, supervisor Bowman.
Yes.
Motion carried.
Moving on, Parks and Recreation, Chambers report. Rush.
yes, good evening, board. Unfortunately, the Parks and Rec, due to COVID the last year, there's been minor activity as far as meetings. We're having a terrible problem getting a quorum together. Right now, the quorum for our meetings is set at 9. I've been in discussion with Rob Young, our attorney, to maybe lower that to 7. Just so, decisions can be, and recommendations moved to the board. Other than that, the rest of the signs came in for Benoti, and Sherwood, and Graham Park. And there's not a lot to report. There'll be an email going out soon. Supervisor Bowman, maybe you'll be available with that excavator again to speed up the installation of the no parking signs, man. That was just awesome what you did a few weekends ago. With that, that's all I have for Parks and Rec and the Chambers report for this evening.
Okay, Tim, thank you. Okay, moving on, Water and Sewer report.
Got to approve it.
Oh,
Your
oh, yeah.
motion.
Motion to
Okay,
approve
motion,
Parks and Rec.
Support.
Got a motion and support. Trustee Laporte,
Yes.
trustee Addie,
Yes.
trustee Rush,
Yes,
trustee Morgan,
Yes.
treasurer Warren,
Yes.
clerk Hurst, yes, supervisor Bowman.
yes.
Motion carried.
Okay, now Water and Sewer report.
Chair,
I'll make a motion to receive and file water planning and zoning seniors and treasurers report.
support.
So move.
Roll call vote. Trustee Addie,
Yes.
trustee Rush,
Yes,
trustee Morgan,
Yes.
trustee Laporte,
Yes.
treasurer Warren,
Yes.
clerk Hurst, yes, supervisor Bowman.
Yes.
Motion carried.
Chair, trustee Addy. I know we just approved all the reports to be received and filed, but I would like to make sure that Treasurer Warren knows that if he would like to speak under his report, he could, address the residents as the new treasurer and tonight also.
That would be great.
yes,
Good evening, Chair. So the treasurer's office is in transition. I'm actually clearing out and getting things prepared for moving forward, the cohesiveness, the staffing, going through the ledger and things like that. So I expect to have a full treasurer's report our next board meeting.
Perfect.
excellent.
Thank you. Vincent.
Supervisor, may I ask him a question?
Go ahead, Peggy.
Hi.
Hi.
I was just wondering, have you chosen a deputy as of yet? If not, do you know when?
No, I have not. No, we have not chosen a deputy yet. Actually, we have put the deputy position out for the public and internal candidates. So when we receive those, we can make the great choice.
Thank you, Vincent.
Yep. Thank you, Vincent.
Peggy. Okay, new business.
Board response.
No, we got
Board response. Okay, board response. Well, I'm off.
Chair?
Go ahead.
Yeah, Chair. Just a quick PSA. We are in the peak of severe weather season right now. Sunday and early Monday morning, Sumpter Township dodged major stuff. Everything was just to the north of us, just to the south of us. I encourage residents to review our township website. If you hear the sirens go off, they go off for a reason. Imminent danger, impending danger. We take great pride in our Storm Ready program, myself and Chief Luke. And it's imperative that, citizens just be aware, be prepared. And again, right now we are in the peak of severe storm weather season. And my weather radios were going off until 4 o'clock in the morning. I have them set for adjacent counties and everything. And in fact, they're trying to verify a tornado touchdown just north of Coldwater in Lenawee County, which is, that's only 35, 40 miles as the crow flies from Sumpter Township. So we've been very blessed with not having severe weather. The inch or so of rain we got was definitely well needed. Just a quick little PSA and reminder for the citizens of Sumpter Township. Back to Chair.
Thank you, Tim.
Chair, may I speak?
Go ahead.
Due to the governor's lifted all the restrictions, we need to suspend our plan that we have in such as our door signage, our entrance, and our remote work. So that needs to be taken care of. So
I would like to make a motion to go ahead and go back to live meetings starting at the next board meeting and suspend the other items that she just spoke of.
So I have a motion. Do I have a support, a second?
Chair?
Go ahead, Tim.
Yeah, Peggy, we're going back live starting next board meeting. I guess the motion should be to suspend all the COVID
Restrictions.
regulatory and things that we've implemented. Yeah, they all expired at midnight last night.
Yep.
So, I'll support your motion with that modification.
And Chair, I think to add on what Rush said, the board had only approved us to do meetings through the 30th, so it will automatically be back on live meetings in July. I'll second your motion, Tim.
Mr.
Okay.
Go ahead, Rob.
You asked me to take a look at what the status was of this, and where we currently sit is my concern is the violation of the Open Meetings Act, and at what point are we still protected using virtual meetings and not running afoul of the Open Meetings Act? And the way it sits is, given the action right now by the state, the OMA would require meetings to be held live, except in communities or in counties where a state of emergency exists. In that case, then it's up to the city or the township to determine if they want to continue with virtual meetings. last Thursday, the County of Wayne extended their state of emergency until I think it was September 1st, and they indicated they were going to review it on a monthly basis. I spoke to Commissioner Basham on that. He's been rather vocal on this issue, and I wanted to have an understanding what the county commission was thinking and doing. So just to bring you up to date, under the OMA, we would be required to have live meetings unless the county established continued, I should say it's a state of emergency, which they have, which as of now would allow us to continue with virtual meetings. So with that information, then you have to decide. I think Mr. Rush, Trustee Rush is correct. The last motion that you made continued virtual meetings through tonight. So without any action, beginning the first meeting in July, you would be live.
That's why I was making the motion to go live at the next board meeting, so that way everybody's clear that we are going back live.
Chair?
Go ahead, Tim.
Yeah, I mean, the board at any time, Mr. Bowman, you could have a special board meeting if special situation, circumstances came up. We could reinstate Zoom meetings if there was a public health issue. I do not foresee that. People are ready to get back to real living, and I can't wait to get back to live board meetings. Back to you, Chair.
Okay, Tim. I mean, I guess it'll depend on the vote tonight, but, I don't know if it's the wise decision or not to go back to live right now.
Chair, I know, the stats that came out today were, and the reason I believe Wayne County continued their emergency is since they have most of their facilities in Detroit, is Detroit has a vaccination rate of about 36%, where the state has a vaccination rate, I believe, of 60% right now. And so that, is covering the area where they have most of their facilities and work. So, I'm open for open meetings, but I also have reservations, about it because we don't have a full vaccination rate. You can still get it when you're vaccinated and not social distancing and not wearing a mask. You can still get it even though you've been vaccinated.
Right.
Esther, I do have a second on that motion, correct?
Yes, you have a second on the motion, yes. Mr. Rush seconded your motion.
Thank you.
Okay, I'll go with roll call vote.
What,
Trustee,
which
go ahead.
motion, what motion are we voting on?
We're voting to go back to open meetings and to remove our restrictions as far as coming into the township hall and wearing a mask. We're suspending our plan for now.
Esther, I believe Trustee Rush amended the original motion to exclude the going back to regular meetings and only the removal of the stipulations.
Well,
We're automatically going back to open meetings because the board had only approved us to go through the 30th. Correct me if I'm wrong, Mr. Rush.
No, you are correct, Matt. If the board does not act tonight, we are back to live meetings, the next board meeting in July.
Okay. I the original first motion, though, to suspend those and to also go live to make it, so it's perfectly clear to everybody in the township and our residents that we are going live until further notice. I thought my motion was seconded.
Yeah, it was seconded, but again, Peggy, your inclusion of going back live doesn't even need to be in the motion.
I know.
If we don't act, we're going back live next board meeting. I'm just trying to keep everything simple.
Yeah. Chair, Trustee Addy, I think we're splitting hairs on that. I'll go ahead and second Peggy's original motion just so we can move forward.
Thank you.
Okay, so the motion is to go live and remove our restrictions and suspend our plan.
Yes,
Okay. According to the state.
yes.
Okay. All right. Roll call vote. Trustee Laporte,
I'm still trying to figure out what I'm voting on. I'm sorry.
To go back live and to suspend the,
restrictions and suspend our plan.
Okay, yes.
Okay. Trustee Addy,
Yes.
Trustee Rush,
Yes.
Trustee Morgan,
yes.
Treasurer Warren,
Yes.
Clerk Hurst, yes. Supervisor Bowman,
Yes.
motion carried.
Chair, if I could ask Rob Young a question? Chair, Trustee Addy, if I could ask
Go
Rob
ahead,
Young.
go ahead, Matt. Go
Rob,
ahead, Matt.
when you reviewed the Wayne County emergency plan, did they add anything in there for mask mandates? I know the state has rolled back theirs, but the county also has the ability to require masks and social distancing. Did they say anything in theirs regarding that? As we're rolling back ours for what the state mandated, we need to be conscious of what the county has mandated.
My understanding is that there are limited mandates in county offices. Not all county offices, like the county commission offices, are not open, but yet the Register of Deeds and the county clerk's office are open. So I don't remember all of the details, but there are some restrictions that are imposed. I guess I need to ask you, so if we're going to do away with the plan, are we talking about doing away with the plan for all of the employees? Is that, I mean, I guess what you're referencing here is the entire plan, which would include employees, people that visit the township board meetings, commission meetings, and the like. Everything, I guess, is, we're back to normal, I guess, is what the intent is. Is that right?
That was my,
And my understanding is remote work will also be suspended. So employees will come back to work in person.
Okay, that all of that is included in, or at least intended to be included in the motion, just for clarification. So basically what we're doing is we're going back pre-COVID, and that's the operation.
Yes.
Correct.
All right, just want to make sure I understand.
Chair?
Go ahead, Tim.
Yeah, Rob, just another quick question. With all these mandates and just legislation, everything that's come out over the last year and a half from the state, Wayne County, I've done some research. We are the authority having jurisdiction for Sumpter Township. I think anything that comes out of Wayne County Health Department or anything like that, I think don't we really need to just observe the state mandates? Am I incorrect on that? We are the authority having jurisdiction.
I don't think anything is taking that away from the township. All the state did was to say, we recognize that there may be times when, although the majority of the state doesn't need to comply with what you're talking about, Mr. Rush, those mandates and the like, there may be circumstances where pockets of communities or a community feels it's in their best interest to continue certain restrictions. I mean, they're leaving it up to the communities. They're not mandating it at this point. Those mandates are now off the table. What you're given is a choice. And the choice is that if the counties or county that you're in continues its state of emergency condition, then you have the ability, if you choose, to do certain things. You don't have to do it, but you have the ability to choose. And like I said, one of those is continue virtual meetings for a period of time. And secondly, even with what has happened, the township has the authority, separate from other communities, if they choose to impose mask mandates, distancing, limits, if you choose.
Yep.
You don't have to, but if you choose to do that at board meetings or wherever, that option is available.
Yeah, Rob, my concern is I just wanted to reaffirm to the public and everything, if something were to happen, the board still has the option. We're the authority having jurisdiction. We can protect the public, employees, workers, and we're good to go. I just wanted to reinforce that. Thanks, Rob, and back to chair.
Okay, so moving on. Consider
New
approval.
business.
Oh, new business. Yeah. New business. You know, I don't know. Go ahead. I'll be wearing my mask, put it that way. I got 3 grandbabies. One of them's 3 months old. Everybody can do their thing, but I'll be wearing my mask. I'm fully vaccinated. I don't know who's going to show up that's not. You can still catch the disease. My concern is my grandchildren and my family. So y'all do what you want to do. I'll be doing what I want to do.
Absolutely.
I agreed, Tim.
So, okay, new business. Consider approval of the recommendation by the Sumpter Township Planning Commission for the proposed amendments, section 2.2, definitions of Sumpter Township zoning ordinance, section 5.8, home businesses, and article 9, signs.
Chair, I'll make a motion to approve that.
Support. The motion and supported, roll call vote. Trustee Addy,
Yes.
trustee Rush,
Yes.
trustee Morgan,
Yes.
trustee Laporte,
Abstain.
treasurer Warren,
Yes.
clerk Hurst, yes, supervisor Bowman.
Yes.
Motion carried.
Okay, so move on to C. Consider approval to accept the resignation with regrets of police officer Joseph Hogan, effective 6/25/2021.
So moved, Chair.
Support.
Moved and supported, roll call vote. Trustee Rush,
Yes.
trustee Morgan,
Yes.
trustee Laporte,
Yes.
trustee Addy,
Yes.
treasurer Warren,
Yes.
clerk Hurst, yes, supervisor Bowman.
Yes.
Motion carried.
Okay, moving on. Consider approval to hire Curtis Lunsford as a paid on-call firefighter contingent on him passing a physical and drug test.
So
moved.
Support.
Roll call vote. Trustee Morgan,
yes.
trustee Addy,
Yes.
trustee Laporte,
Yes.
trustee Rush,
Yes.
treasurer Warren,
Yes.
clerk Hurst, yes, supervisor Bowman.
Yes.
Motion carried.
Okay, moving on. Consider approval to hire Ronald Jeffries as a paid on-call firefighter contingent on him passing a physical and drug test.
So moved.
Support.
Been moved and supported. Trustee Addy,
Yes.
trustee Rush,
Yes.
trustee Morgan,
Yes.
trustee Laporte,
Yes.
treasurer Warren,
Yes.
clerk Hurst, yes, supervisor Bowman.
Yes.
Motion carried.
Okay, moving on. F. Consider approval of resolution 2021-10 and to tentatively award a construction contract to Hennessy Engineers for drinking water system improvements and the DWRF water main replacement program. Thinking
Chair.
about weather now.
Yeah, Chair, I'll make that motion with the following changes. That should be consider approval of resolution 2021-10 for the DWRF water main replacement program.
Okay.
Support.
Been moved and supported. Trustee Laporte,
Yes.
trustee Morgan,
Yes.
trustee Rush,
Yes.
trustee Addy,
Yes.
treasurer Warren,
Yes.
Clerk Hurst, yes. Supervisor Bowman.
Yes.
Motion carried.
Okay, moving on. Consider approval to hire Patrick Terfischi, I can't pronounce his last, as a full-time police officer on the condition he passes a physical, drug screening, and psychological evaluation, and approval to start at the 6-month pay scale.
So moved.
Support.
Trustee Rush,
Yes.
trustee Addie,
Yes.
trustee Laporte,
Yes.
trustee Morgan,
Yes.
treasurer Warren,
Yes.
clerk Hurst, yes. Supervisor Bowman.
Yes.
Motion carried.
Okay, moving on. H, consider approval of HR committee recommendations and preparations of the employment contract to appoint a full-time fire department chief at a base salary of $58,240 plus township benefits without medical reimbursement.
So move.
Chair, I'll make the motion that we appoint current interim chief Rick Brown as the next full-time chief with the verbiage you just stated.
I made that motion, Tim.
But you didn't mention his name.
They know.
Support.
Okay, it's been motioned and supported. Roll call vote. Trustee Rush,
Yes.
trustee Morgan,
Yes.
trustee Addie,
Yes.
trustee Laporte,
Yes.
treasurer Warren,
Yes.
clerk Hurst, yes. Supervisor Bowman.
Yes.
Motion
Chair?
carried.
Chair,
Go ahead, Tim.
could we maybe have our new Chief Brown maybe say a few words? I'm sure he's got maybe something else he'd like to say to the public and to the board this evening, if he so pleases.
Good evening to all the board members. How are you doing? I hope everything's well. No, I'd just like to say a few words and thank everyone for their kind words and their faith and trust in me. And I guarantee you from the 37 years of experience that I've had with this department that it will go upwards and forwards. And I'm looking at very good things. And I appreciate all the recommendations. And you have my word that I will not ever let any of you down. And I thank you so kindly.
Thank you,
Thank you,
Chief.
Chief.
Thank you, Chief.
Welcome
Congratulations.
aboard.
Thank you very much.
Congratulations, Chief.
Sir, congratulations.
Thank you.
Congratulations.
I thank you.
You're not
Okay.
gonna make me roll any more hose, right?
Not quite yet, but we'll get there.
Double time now.
Uh,
Hey, yeah, I guess a little round of applause, huh? Yeah.
Thank you very much.
Okay, announcements.
I have one announcement. I believe maybe Michelle can chime in on this if I'm wrong. I received an email from Forgotten Harvest that they are going to be starting Monday, the 26th of July, Forgotten Harvest, and it'll be on the 2nd and 4th Monday of the month. If there's any correction, I'll ask Michelle to do that, but I received an email stating that.
Thank you so much, Trustee Morgan. Yes, we did get the final date set for Forgotten Harvest. We will be announcing it at the next board meeting because we didn't quite meet the deadline for this one, but it is posted on the website with all the information. We are looking for people to volunteer. The first 3 donation sessions that they have will be kind of a feel to see how many people will be getting. to see if our space is the right space to provide for Forgotten Harvest and to make any adjustments. But really for the next couple of weeks, we're going to be really asking for our community members to step up and volunteer. The information is on the website, and I will be sharing that also at our next board meeting. The flyer is also going to be posted to Channel 12, or I believe is already posted to Channel 12.
Okay, is that date right, Michelle?
Those dates were correct, yes.
Okay, thank you.
Thank you,
Thank
Al.
you.
Open floor.
All right, Supervisor, we have a couple of people, one person would like to speak, and then Eric Partridge has asked me to ask questions on his behalf since he doesn't have a microphone on his computer. The first one is, I wonder when there will be 9 members on the Planning Commission. This was expanded for the benefit of the community, supposedly. Second comment is, why are there 3 board members wearing baseball hats?
Because that's what I do.
Well, I'm
Wore
wearing mine.
baseball hat my
I'm
entire
wearing mine
life.
in support of our Sumpter Township Police Department. Support the blue.
Michigan.
Yep, I'm wearing mine
A
in
lot of money there.
support of the military.
Right.
I
And
can't
also
find
'cause
one
I
that fits my
had a
head.
hard day at work and my hair.
Keeps my hair in place.
All right, and then we do have one participant that would like to speak, Sharon Pogorski. Let's hope this works.
Before we go to her, what about the first question about the Planning Commission? I was wondering that myself, if you've gone to 9-member now, Matt.
No, we have not added any new members since the board had moved to go to 9.
Okay, but do you plan on it still?
That would be up to the board if we want to continue, if we want to expand it. At that time, we had decided we were going to expand it, but it could also be considered to leave it at the current 7.
Okay, because I thought we did vote on it to go 9.
Yep, we absolutely did vote on it.
So you are going to do it then?
That would be up to the supervisor, the chair, to make any appointments to the committee, unless the chair would like to bring back to the board to rescind the move to 9 and keep it at 7.
Okay, thank you.
Okay.
All right, so Sharon doesn't look like she's able to unmute again. So
Sharon,
I'm gonna try another option.
I seen it go off. There it is. Can you hear us, Sharon? Richard?
Hello?
The mute's off.
All right, she really would like to speak, so I'm just going to
Via phone.
yeah, via phone. Which is oops, bear with me. Let's try one more time.
Answer the phone, Sharon.
I'm glad to know I'm not the only one that has trouble.
That's why I can't wait to go back to live meetings.
Exactly.
Hey Sharon, how are you?
I was on the phone.
Oh, no. All
Can you
right.
guys hear me?
Yes.
Yes, we can hear you.
I was on the phone. I know I have a loud mouth, but I thought you'd be able to hear me. Listen, I want to say something about Parks and Rec. I want to thank Supervisor for coming out with his equipment. We needed that really bad. and he saved the day for us. I want to thank Mr. Rush because he has been right there side by side with me and Richard doing everything that we need to do. And we have some grants that will be coming through, and tomorrow I'll be dropping off to this county the paperwork from the resolution because they're open. They're started to be open this week, and we should get we will be getting a reimbursement for our last grant that we put money out for. And the Parks and Rec will hopefully be meeting next Wednesday. That's what we're trying to do, to meet next Wednesday. The problem with not getting a quorum is because everybody's schedules has changed since the COVID. Drew is babysitting for her grandkids because her daughters are all working, and it's just been one thing after another. So we're hoping to have a quorum for next Wednesday. And that's that.
Back to normal.
Excellent.
Hopefully. Thank you.
Thank you, Sharon.
Thanks, Sharon.
Motion to adjourn.
Support?
The motion and supported, all in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Motion carried. We are adjourned.
Thank you.
Yep.
Night,
Have a good
everybody.
evening,
Night, everyone.
everybody.
Have a good evening.